Good afternoon, Nigerians. Thank you so much for staying tuned to Galaxy Television. I am Nayo Shobo for Show. And this is about the second time Nigeria is buzzing in this year. The first was for the general elections, and that was so much buzz everywhere, every state in the nation. And this time around, the second buzz is for the off-cycle elections in 3 states of the nation. Now, I want to believe we have younger generations, younger people watching this and maybe wondering what is off-cycle election? How did we really come about off-cycle elections? I would like to really do just a little, intro on that so that the younger generations watching can know what it is, and all together we'll have a very good grasp of what goes on in our nation. Now, originally, elections in Nigeria are quadrennial, meaning they take place every 4 years, as we saw in February 2023. That was the first buzz I mentioned earlier, the general elections, and some other states, having the gubernatorial, governorship election, the National Assembly elections as well. However, due to issues arising after elections, post-election matters that are eventually taken to court, we got to know or have what we know and call off-cycle elections. And that means when elections are done and the contestants or the parties, that's contested are not contented with the result, then we resolve to seek redress in court. We take the cases to court as the case may be. And if the court eventually overturns the election and there needs to be a rerun, then we begin to have off-cycle elections. So those elections go off the cycle that we've had before, and we have new ones. And that brought us to about 8 states in Nigeria becoming off-cycle electorates. 3 of them are having their elections, the gubernatorial elections today, and those are Bayelsa State, Imo State, and Kogi State, which is why we will be having a very unusual and special edition of Editors Forum today. Rather than taking topics on the front burner during the week, we will be bringing you up to speed with everything that is happening in these 3 states. And of course, to do justice to that today, I have 2 amazing journalists in the house with me who will be, analyzing reports. We also have our correspondents in this state on standby who will be bringing us up to speed with everything happening there. So with that, I say welcome to this special and unusual edition of Editors Forum. Once again, I am Layo Shobo Show. I'm bringing you my guest. I have Mr. Oshomale R. Inuma. He's the Assistant General Secretary, Guild of Public Affairs Analysts of Nigeria at GPAN. Thank you so much for being here, sir.
It's my pleasure. Good to be here once again.
Yeah, and I also have the Gen. So what I did today sort of is bringing the Secretariat of the Public Affairs Analysts of Nigeria to the table. The pen is lighter than the sword, yeah? And I have the General Secretary, GPAN as well, the person of Mr. Victor Anya. Thank you so much for being here, sir.
Many thanks for inviting me.
All right, so starting up, I would like us to look at the numbers. So as brought up on INEC website, for Bayelsa State, we have 1,056,862 registered voters. And the total number of people who collected their PVCs, 1,017,613, leaving 39,249 people without their PVCs, not collecting theirs. Now, for Imo State, we have 2,419,922 registered voters, 2,318,919 collected their PVCs, while 101,003 people did not collect their PVCs. While in Kogi State, we have 1,932,654 registered voters, 1,833,160 collected their PVCs, while 99,494 did not get their PVC. And as much as I would like to feel, I think, okay, people really turned up, and hopefully we will have a lot of people, coming out to vote. But from what we have seen so far, I don't even think many of the states have up to that number of people turning out to vote. Particularly Imo State, I was following up the elections today, before now, and almost all the states didn't have that great turnout. And I begin to ask, is this still not voters' apathy that we have been talking about since the general election that is still coming to play in this off-cycle election?
Of course it is. When you have 39,000, for instance, in Bayelsa not collecting their PVC, you have a country, a whole country, somewhere in Liechtenstein. Liechtenstein is in Europe is about 39,100. The population of the whole country being disenfranchised in a state in Nigeria. So it matters a lot. And then we have to ask the questions, why? So you have 100,000 in Imo State, yes, and you have 99,000 in Kogi State. So you are talking of about 5 countries in Europe, like Andorra, like Lithuania, countries less than like 20,000, 50,000. So, but then in a democracy, every vote counts. For it to really be a democracy, it has to involve everyone. That is why it is a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. So if you take a soul out of it, then it has become a democracy short of what it ought to be.
But before now there have been education from INEC, even the candidates, going out, campaigning, telling people to come out. So what could we say is the reason then, stand here for this low turnout? Because even the 1 million people that got their PVCs, we are not certain that all of them, from what we have seen, turn out to come and vote. So what could be the reasons for things like this?
Well, to me, I think I would differ from what my colleague has just stated. Because if you have a number of people registered for vote in the state, about 1.3, 1 million and 35,000, and a whole million of them were able to collect their PVC. I think that's a very good development. Considering the fraction, 1 million to 35, that's a good development. That means there was a massive education, voters education. That means the people have been well informed about the importance of voting. That was why out of 1.3 or 1 million 35,000, a whole whopping 1 million were able to collect their PVC. That's a good development. Then in Imo State, 99, a million 101,000, a million collected their PVC. In Kogi, 1 million collected their PVC, 99 did not collect. So all over the world, even in democracy where their leaders are performing, there is never a record where the entire country vote. Even in the most advanced democracy in America, in Britain, you can never get 100% of voters turnout. So to me, this is a good development, considering the fact when compared to the presidential election, because if you look at the number of people that they actually voted during the presidential election, it's a far cry from the population, because we have a population, a presumed population or proposed population, or an assumed population of 200 million people, as we are being told. How many people voted?
Yes, the last census.
Yes, and even that census cannot be adjusted to be the best. That was why when they are talking about census, I've already written a story about it. You can Google it when we leave here, that why Nigeria does not need a census. I wrote it, that there's no need for us, because census here are not being used for anything. It's just because of it's just to collect money, but that is by the side. So,
but before you leave, I also, while you talked about people collecting their PVCs, and that is a very good development, I also feel some could have done that just because they need it as a valid means of identification.
But there's no information to that effect. The fact that they have collected, let us give credit to them for collecting. Okay. Are we following?
Yeah.
So that is that. So in advanced democracies where leaders perform, you cannot have 100% of voters turnout in any election. Not to talk of our own after election, you don't even see your leaders. You don't even see them because in our sometimes we hear people say that all of us are into government. I tell them that we are not into government. It is only in advanced country where representatives return to their constituency and consult with their constituents. That's where you say they are all members of, they are all in government. Because here, no, I don't know my councillor. I don't know the chairman of my local government area. Not because I don't want to, but because immediately they are elected. Some of them, they in Lagos here now, a lot of them are living in Lekki.
We'll definitely come to that side of it. So I think we have one of our correspondents on ground that will be bringing us up to speed with the field. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Where are you currently? Okay, we have the faster. Where are you currently, and what is happening there?
Yes, I am presently at a place they call Amarata, where I earlier visited early at 6:30 a.m. this morning. You know, there are some issues there we observed here. Now, just behind me at the long stretch of the road, I just had to move away because of the security presence there. That there are some persons that are being apprehended for vote buying. They were apprehended, the security agent, they had to put them in a security post there. It's just about 20, less than 200 meters from here where people are coming. So we don't know the party which they have been alleged to be buying votes for, but I will tell you that they will just be apprehended there and they are with the security agents. I spoke with the PPRO about 20 minutes ago about the fate of these people, and he said if need be, they will have to parade them at the state police headquarters, but they are still doing their investigation now.
So, I didn't get that earlier.
Amarata, they call it Amarata, just about 1,000 kilometers from the Niger Delta University. That was where I visited there early this morning, where they have the major voting strength there. So these people that were arrested there, they were up to 8 of them in a bus like this. So they say they saw them with cash, but they've not been able to prove the all reasonable doubt now. So the police made us understand that if need arises, you have to parade them and will call the press. So that's the present situation, and it happened less than 30 minutes ago that this incident happened. That's where just down the street there to the stretch end like that. They cordon up the road at the end of the road for people not to go beyond that area. Even cameras could not go beyond there. That's the present situation as I speak with you here in Amarata.
Were you able to speak with any of the residents or people around as to what they think about the election and their turnouts eventually? Because in the studio here we were talking about the turnout of people. If you can give us that information, how did people turn out in that area?
In the areas I visited, like the Amarata, the Opolo area, the Ingbi Road, and then towards the governor's office area, the turnout there was an impressive turnout there. When I left those areas around that 12:31 p.m., the turnout there was impressive. Even not quite, less than 25 minutes ago, the former Minister of State for Petroleum, where he voted, the other candidate, the APC, and he made mention too that the turnout in Brass, his area, Nimbe Basapri, the turnout there, according to him, I have him on tape, that it was impressive there. Same, the incumbent governor as well, he made us understand that the turnout too was impressive, except in some areas where the governor said some of his persons in Basami that they were the same franchise. So the turnout in all those areas visited was really impressive, I can tell you.
Thank you very much, Dili. Thank you so much. And that is our correspondent, Dili.
Thank you for having me.
From Bayelsa State. He talked about, first he asked about, as we're talking about the voters' turnout, he said in Amarafa, where he is currently, the turnout was very good. I mean, so I think that corroborates what Mr. Anya said. But he talked about people apprehended, arrested by the security agencies for vote buying. But before we go into that, we had a first report from INEC this morning of someone being, abducted, one of the supervising officials been abducted, and electoral materials and everything, in the water. The boats capsized. But the question is now, these things, INEC, I believe INEC knew before now, right? These are not just issues that are happening today. Bayelsa is much more of a water place than land, and the means of transportation is mostly by water. Now, what is it that INEC couldn't have made so much backup plans in terms of security? According to their statements too, while the official was, looking around at things happening, the boat capsizing and all, he was abducted. Was there no security official with him? Was there no plan for these things? INEC has been conducting elections in Nigeria for a while. So yes, there will be glitches. We should all agree to that. But then, things like this could probably be averted, or what do you think?
Of course, and you keep asking those questions, did INEC not know this could happen? And your questions border on proactiveness of what INEC should all about. How did we come about the issue of off-cycle elections we are having today? Because of inefficiency of INEC. If INEC had done the job the way it should be efficiently, then no one would have gone to the courts or to the tribunals to upturn any election. So you have a situation where even the laws have made it so much impossible to have a valid elections that will not be disputed.
In what sense?
Good. When you have a situation where you say, look, I'm going to transmit election live, and another one counters or contradicts somewhere, say, well, but if I can't, I would rather use that paper. So the hooligans there, they will like, oh, well, if we can't really transmit, we could also use the paper. So they so you give room for sabotage glaringly. So what we are saying, I wish to re-emphasize on what we were saying earlier about the numbers that they couldn't collect their PVCs. It matters a lot that everyone has confidence in the system. 39,000 is a big number in a democracy. 100,000 is a big number. So then, but why? You ask that question. Why did they not collect? Lack of confidence in the process. So some had believed that, look, my votes won't count. And you saw what he was saying there, that some people were caught buying votes, sharing money. You have poverty, endemic poverty, well entrenched, even sabotaging the process itself. The violence, fear of violence and intimidation is there. But you have elections in places like Iceland, in places like Greenland, in places like Denmark, in Netherlands. Have you ever seen anyone going? Even in France, France has sizable population.
You keep comparing Nigeria to this nation.
Why won't we compare? Because when I give you iPhone 14 Pro Max today, you will use it, even though you do not live in the United States. So why is it? Because when it comes to having good governance, fixing roads, infrastructure, good education, that is when it becomes rocket science in African countries. It is no rocket science. That's what we are saying. It's possible if the political will is there. Everyone, you do not really have to queue to vote. It's something you could do through biometric at the post office, at the bank, because you have your BVN right there.
Okay, so, Mr. Lima, you talked about confidence in the process earlier, and I would like us to see a report, reactions of Bayelsans, just as at yesterday, before the election. Let's take a break to see this report, and when we return, we'll continue the conversation. Just stay with us. Staying with us, it's still Editors Forum on Galaxy Television, and today, as I said, the unusual and special edition where we'll take a look at the updates and things and events happening in Bayelsa, Kogi, and Imo states as the residents decide the next governor. Now, we were talking about the insecurity, vote buying, and as reported by our correspondent, Dele Fason, some minutes ago. Now, on vote buying, after this last general election, The police came out to say, you know what, we have apprehended, arrested some people, they'll be persecuted and all. But after that, we sort of haven't gotten more information on that. Now we are having new cases of people being arrested for vote buying. Is it that the security agencies are not they can't buy it, and that is why we keep having these issues, or what exactly is the problem?
You see, when I watch Nigeria, it's the only country I've seen on earth that we know
on earth?
Yes, that we know the problem, the root cause of a problem, but we don't uproot that problem, but it will be pampering it. All this insecurity we are talking, vote buying, snatching of ballot papers. Why are politicians so desperate to win election? Nobody has been able to address that question. You talk about people voting in Iceland, in Netherlands, just go to post office, you put it into an envelope, they take it away, and nobody will go and snatch them. Why is it that our own is so desperate? People are so desperate. It is because of the money. There's too much money in politics in Nigeria. It is only in Nigeria that there's so much money. And that is why there's desperation. And if you don't remove money, it will continue until we are going to grow old and die. We will continue to repeat the same problem. Look at Nigeria today. Somebody did not contest election. Say it's a wife of a president. They are proposing to buy a car of 1.5 billion for one person.
Official.
One person, when there are millions of people hungry. It's never done anywhere. You want to use 43 billion to renovate a house for one man in the name of president. How much did it cost to build that house? And nobody is asking question. So the desperation is because of the money. If you put honey here now, within a twinkle of our air, you will see ants gathering that place. That is why politics and politicians are so desperate. It is not so in other places now. Look at, they just reported that ballot papers were snatched. If the people that went to snatch those ballot papers knew that nothing will come out of it, will they go and snatch ballot papers? If you contest for an election and you know that when you get there, at the end of the day, you will not become a billionaire, will you go and buy vote? You will not go and buy vote. We have the solution, but instead of putting down the solution, we will just be deceiving and say that police will arrest. How many people will police arrest? Is it police that will say politicians should be giving money to people? Is it police that said that, politicians should impoverish the people? And they will be so hungry to the extent that when you see Gary and Granot, you will be so hungry, desperate to grab it to eat because you are hungry? No.
But they are part of the government agencies that are supposed to...
They are part, but the problem is the money. Remove the money from it. If you remove the money, if you go and serve, I always give example of Salvation Army and other non-governmental agencies that are looking for people to come and serve free of charge because you are going there as a volunteer. Nobody is going to pay you. Do you see people going there say, I want to go and serve? Are you keep people? No. The money is too much. If we don't remove money from politics, don't ever think of getting decent election. All over the world, if you take this system to America now, it will be more desperate, more dangerous than this because almost everybody has a gun. I can just snuff all your life and take over power. But because there's no money in it, nobody is doing all that. Okay, be critic. Was he rich when he left office? He was not rich. Okay, look at Obama. Is he driving Jeep of 1.something billion? Is his wife driving Jeep of 1.something billion because the husband was once a president? No.
Okay.
So the money is the attraction that is making people to be so desperate to say, let me go there. If I go there, as ordinary councillor, you become a councillor today. You have money to be buying filling stations, buy houses in Dubai. It's not done in other places.
That point has been made. I would like us to. I think we will be coming shortly to our correspondent that will be also bringing us to speed. Do I have you? Hello, good afternoon. Oh, okay, I don't think I have him yet.
Hello, can you hear me?
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes, I can hear you
so
now.
give us an update of where you are and what is happening there.
All right, it's still the same story. We are still moving around. The governor of Kogi State just voted where he assured that he's going to leave the state, better than he made it. He accused the media that the last election, part of the
Apologies,
problems
Nabucha.
that the last election
I
had was
really
that the
cannot
media
hear you
overhyped.
well.
Hello?
Oh, I think I'll come back to you in about a minute. I cannot hear you well. I apologize. So I think I'll have to call you back. But while I'm doing that, let's deviate from this insecurity and look at a report sent in by this our correspondent that you just saw, Nabuchi. He's in Kogi State. He mentioned that INEC had an official were setting up at Ward A Unit 014 in Lokoja local government as at 8:12 this morning. So I think do we look? I want us to look at the timing now that INEC brought to the table. Would we say that is commendable? Because other times we've heard, okay, INEC staff are not even at the polling units, they're not at the wards as at 9 a.m., as at 10 a.m. Accreditation has not even started. But today we have something maybe different from that. As at 8 a.m., 8:12 a.m., they are there already. What would you have to say to that?
There's nothing unusual really, because this is off-cycle election. So you have all resources, moved towards that, just 3 states, you have enough ad hoc staff, and you have enough security personnel to accompany them and all that. So unlike when you have about 33, 34 states going for elections, so then you begin to see situations where you have shortages of logistics and personnel. So, but in this case, it's nothing unusual. If they were there like 7 a.m., that would have been even okay.
But we should.
But it's commendable. That is
but the only thing is that how many polling units did that happen?
So
we are talking about only one place.
So
and that state they may have about 2,000 or 2,500 polling units. So if it happens in only one polling unit or two, that is not a good development. Unless if there's a report from other polling units that everything happened across board, that in all the polling units or maybe half of the polling unit that INEC officials were on ground on time, it is then we will commend it. But for one polling unit, I don't think I will commend it because I don't know what happens in other polling units.
This is the information outside. I want to believe when we have him on air now, he will give us more about that.
Going forward from here, again, let me emphasize on this issue. We are long overdue for electronic voting, e-voting. You can't begin to set up umbrella everywhere, every time in a
close the entire state or country
in a 21st century, environment where you could, when you have interview, you know what to do. They will send you a code. You go to a website, just click, and you are on. So you know how you click in for attendance at workplaces. So it's not rocket science, as I said, but the will to want to succeed, to move forward. I don't want my kids to grow up and still meet all these complaints everywhere. So when you set up umbrella at 8 a.m., but the hooligans are somewhere waiting to hijack the boxes, then the whole essence is defeated.
Okay, let's go to Kogi State. We also have a report from there. Let's take a break to look at the report. When we return, it's still Editors Forum. Just stay with us. Okay, so we have our correspondent Nabuchi on standby to bring us up to speed with the situation in Kogi State. Hi Nabuchi, can you hear me now?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay, if you can hear me, I was telling you that the governor of Kogi State, Alhaji Bello, just voted, and he assured that he was going to leave the state better than he met it in, from Okene where he voted. The election has been largely peaceful, and we asked him why it's peaceful than before. He now said that the last election here in the state was mishyped, that the media hyped it more than necessary, that what happened then is not worse than what is happening now, that it's just that media hype blew everything out of proportion. But here in Lokoja, you can also find that it has been peaceful. All the police stations that we have visited are largely peaceful. People trooped out in mass to cast their ballot, and everything has gone on well. Save from one or two.
Okay, talking about the 102, before you go to that, Nabuchi, we were talking about the timeliness of INEC officials at the polling units across Kogi State. So, what do you have to say to that? Because according to, I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
This first.
So you were saying apart from one or two glitches here and there, everything has been great and peaceful in Kogi State. Well, in the studio before we came to you, we were talking about INEC officials' timeliness in this election. You know, according to your report sent in earlier, as at 8:12 a.m., accreditation was ongoing. INEC staff were, setting out already. So, and that is for one of the polling units. Can you bring us up to speed the other polling units that you visited? Was it the same? Did we have INEC officials arriving on time and setting out on time? Talking about timeliness, INEC officials setting out on time.
Official. But all I can tell you about INEC official is that they arrived in the
Can you
polling
hear
units.
me now, Nabuchi?
No, the audio is blurry. I can barely hear you. I can barely hear you. It's blurry as if rain is falling. I can barely hear you.
Okay, I guess that we will have to go back to the reports then. Apologies, audience. We couldn't really. I think the network is so bad. Let's go back to the report that I sent in earlier. So. Okay, so I was asking about timeliness of INEC officials across Kogi State. As at 8:12 a.m., you sent in a report that they were setting out already, and that was very timely. So we were debating that in the studio before I came to you the other time. So other places that you visited, what was the time? What was it like?
Hey, see, so your audio. Something is wrong with your microphone. Something is actually wrong because
Okay,
now I can.
apologies. I'll have to let you go then. We'll have to come back to the studio. Okay, so from Kogi State, that was Nabuchi, our correspondent, saying Governor Yahya Bello had already voted and he, promised that he will leave the state better than he met it. But aside from one or two glitches here and there, everything had been peaceful. So we hope we have that continuously in the state. And I think one of the glitches I actually wanted him to talk about was the local government chairman that was apprehended, caught with some amount of money and ammunition on election day. This still brings us back to, I think, the point he raised earlier. Also, or do you agree with that?
Yes.
Very well.
All right, so I think our time is far spent and we'll have to go. But unfortunately, we couldn't do so much because the network was so against us. But then, definitely, we are going to keep bringing you up to speed with the updates and events as they unfold in Kogi, Imo, and Bayelsa State. So please ensure you stay tuned to Galaxy Television. Today, tomorrow, all of our programs will be bringing you up to speed. Many thanks to you, Mr. Oshomole. Thank you so much for coming.
It's a pleasure.
Thank you very much, Mr. Anya. I really wish we had so much time, but then I think when we spoke earlier, you said 1 hour. Am I sure 1 hour?
Yeah, I was
enough?
for a program like this, and I was going to say something about this living a state better than he met it. I would have expected him to say, "Oh, well, before I came, the social ratio of youths didn't have job." As I'll be living, and so number of youths, higher ratio now have job. I didn't have all that, and just making vague claims about living in states. That's not good enough, and we hope to do better in subsequent.
All right. So, thank you very much. Thank you so much, Mr. Alia.
Many thanks for having me.
Okay, I remain Layo Shubo for Loro Show. As I said earlier, please stay tuned to Galaxy Television as we bring you up to speed with events as they unfold. See you on Saturday next week.